So there have been a lot of opinion, comments, those that are vast in divorce law, those that understand how things work. Some of them have dropped their opinion. They have dropped their opinion as regards what they know. Now, part of this opinion is this, that when a man and a woman separate, divorce, or the process of divorce, about property sharing if they have, about money in the bank if they have, about asset if they have. Now, there are set laws and there are certain waivers in some cases. There are national laws. Let's say Europe, for example. Europe does not have a blanket law. They have laws that are specific to each country. For example, let's say Eastern Europe, Western Europe, every of this, even in the West, let's say the Western, that's Germany, France, and Netherlands, just name them, countries all over, you just check them, Slovakia, Slovenia, Sweden, Switzerland, Denmark, Malta, just check all of those countries. And even in the UK, they have what they call national law. That law is applied in their country apart from the EU law. Apart from the EU law, even though the UK is out of the EU, they have this. If you go to the US also, they have their own laws also. They have their laws, although these laws at times might appear similar, they might look similar, but they have certain national law. And it is applied in that country. So in Nigeria, where Edochie and May are both domiciled, and where they have their asset. Now, how are they going to go about it? First, Edochie knows that he needs to provide shelter. He needs to provide shelter for his children. That is the law in Lagos. You need to provide shelter for your child. You need to also handle medical emergencies for your children. And feeding. In certain cases, the man has to deal with the feeding. You have to deal with. But now, when it comes to shelter, there are certain waivers that are given. For example, if the woman is working, you'll be asked and told, look, you have to handle this part halfway. You have to meet the man halfway. Also, we have the education, schooling. Also, there are certain things that a man has to do. But if the woman is working, and don't forget, when a man and a woman break apart, the man cares less. The court cares less if that woman does not work. They'll say, well, you have to do something. But if the child that the woman, let's say they broke apart when the baby is still 3 months, 4 months, you cannot tell a 3 months, you cannot ask a mother to drop a 3-month-old baby, 2-month-old baby to a nanny, unless she has a mother with her who is willing to take care of her. She has younger ones who is willing. You just don't tell people. But so the court listens to all of these things, and they apply the law to it, and also look at some waivers here and there. So in the case of Edochie, they don't have babies. They have underage, but not babies. Edochie needs to provide shelter. Now, we have looked at that house. Some people have valued it to be 150 million, 200 million. Some say 250, some say 300 million naira. If Edochie and me, if both of them are to sell that house, now that is where the contention comes in. Some say, for example, I read a comment, someone say, I live in the UK. The man has to leave the house for the woman. That is called national law, and that is also specific, that the man has to leave the home, because that is where your child resides. Your underage children, that's where they reside. And there is also schooling. most of the times around that vicinity. So you either have to tell the court, no, we have to sell this house and I will pay for rent. You see, you still have to cater for their wealth, for their shelter. That's the most important to the court. At first, the man moves out of the house. The man moves out of the house. Let's say both of them broke apart and all of that. The man moves out of the house, leaves the house to the woman and their kids. Now, if the man wants to press further, let's say they've done the mortgage to a point, like, let's even say it's the man that is paying mortgage. He leaves the house. He has to keep paying mortgage because it's more or less like he's paying rent at the end of the day. If you say no, it doesn't. If you want to sell the house, you tell the court. Now, they now move into another aspect of the law. If you say this house must be sold, it's okay by the court. You want to sell the house, it's okay, sell the house, you pay up your mortgage, or maybe you've come to the almost the end of the mortgage, you pay up and you are done with that. You still must pay monthly for shelter. Imagine if you have 3 children or 4, you must pay shelter. You must still pay every month. You must pay for their shelter. If you say no, there is this particular space, because they are going to measure square meter depending on the number of children that you have. You still have to pay. You have to pay. Now, electricity, utility bills. If the court decides on the woman paying that, like, no, you have to pay that whilst he is paying this. And if the court says, no, our law here is that you have to pay all of the bills, utility bills, rent. That is if you live in a rented apartment. You still have to pay. So you have a house, you don't have your own rent, you move out of the house, you still have to pay. Now, in some European countries, some of these houses are divided into 2. That is what they call mediation. Don't forget that there is always mediation in between this. It's not just, oh, that's it, I kick you out of the house, that's the end of it. At times, it works that way. At times, it doesn't work that way. The house is divided into 2. Sometimes it is sold. It is called 50-50 formula. It's there in many European countries. 50-50 formula, once the marriage breaks apart and it is established that both of them invested in that house. And even if the woman did not invest, physical money, after all, she does the cleaning. And if you are so stupid, she doesn't work and you are doing the cleaning, paying the rent, the mortgage and all of that, that's your personal choice. No one asked you. You're not going to tell the court. She doesn't do nothing. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't hold water. It doesn't hold water at all. So in the US, they have their own too. Man is told to leave. If the house is going to be sold for settlement. In fact, when you are so rich in the US, if you come from money, I'm not saying that if you come from money, the first thing your parents will begin to tell you at the age of 12, 13, when they know that as a young boy or even a girl, they know that you'll be active soon. They will start talking about prenup. They'll start talking about alimony. They'll start pressing it into your ear. Do not allow someone down the ladder step up to you. You get attracted, love struck, get into your life, you get married, and you do not have that particular aspect of it fixed in your contract. Marriage is contract. You don't have it fixed there, that once we break apart, if we have children, this is the X and Y amount of money, and it can be revealed depending on the cost of living. This is what you are going to have, and she's going to sign. You see? So there are a lot of things attached to it. If you don't know, you jump into your own. It's like a case of actor Will Smith and his wife that has become a thorn on his flesh, Jada Pinkett Smith. She once said when she was asked, so with all of this, she has been the worst of the kind that you can ever think of. I'm not saying Will Smith is a saint, but she has been the worst of the kind of wife that any man will wish for. Why is Will Smith stuck to her? Because it's cheaper to keep than to break. Why? Because Mr. Smith did not, at the beginning, maybe he never saw himself being big. He didn't allow her to sign certain, there were no arrangements prior. So it means once the marriage breaks apart, Will Smith, who is richer, much more, not because she herself has not done her own thing, but when you talk about, it's like saying, how rich can Jada Pinkett be? How rich can Jada Pinkett be? Anyway, so these are issues. So in the case of Yul Edochie, he wants to live in that house and still retain May. This is what the family of the Edochies are still dealing with right now. Like, you might think, oh, this is supposed to have been done with and dusted and all of that. But no, it is not. It is still there. It is still there. They are still dealing with this. They are still dealing with this. Like, you know what? Why don't you guys settle on this case? And I will advise, I'm not saying Yul Edochie will do this, but I will advise May never to think of this for now. It might be dangerous. That's what I mean. Because I don't think Yul Edochie, once bitten, twice shy. I don't think Yul Edochie will want the repetition of the same thing. Like something happens and she now said, okay, you know what? Now I'm done. If May mistakenly, well, she has swung into action anyway. She has swung into action as the Edochies, the Kinsmen. They want them to settle this. They are pressing on this. They are pressing on that. And she arrived recently from a business trip, and what she met is this. Yul Edochie tried picking her up, and none of these things worked. They are trying to buy her. Should I use the word buy? Yeah, they're trying to use corniness. They are trying to pay her with that coin, and they're trying to trick her. They are trying to make her think that all is well. But she's standing her ground firm, saying, no, I will not accept this one. I know what you guys are up to. And Yul Edochie is interested in nothing else. He has nothing more than that house. So right now, what they are asking is that she should drop the divorce. Like, put an end to this divorce of a thing. Let's settle this thing amicably between us. Our son ever will not lose that house. And I know that Yul Edochie is not going to lose that house. It's just that he cannot reside in that house until the last child is 18. In fact, in Lagos, I think the child needs to be 20, 21 or something. 18 is the age, but in Lagos, there is this extra given that child must reside in that house at least for 2 years or thereabout, something like that. I don't know if it has been revealed now. So that's how it is. So Yul Edochie has to be patient till then. Then he can now start talking about, because it's not like the court will say, May, this house belongs to you. Take. Yul Edochie, don't ever in your life come to this house anymore till you are... No, it doesn't work that way. That would be stupid, isn't it? That would not make sense. She is the caretaker of that house from now till when that last child is of age. And man, I think by then Yul Edochie will be like, how old will Yul Edochie be then? It will be maybe close to his late 50s. Close to that age, before he can now say, let us sell that house. And maybe then the house would have appreciated to maybe 500 million naira. Maybe it would have appreciated even more. Maybe the house would have depreciated. Maybe the house would have broken down due to lack of maintenance. But I think if May resides there, and I know she knows all of these things, so she's also working towards getting her own things sorted out. Like, at the end of the day, if this house is going to be sold or whatever is going to happen to it, at least let my children have something. I think she's working towards, like, let my children have something. Let them inherit this one. Let them, if they sell that later in life, to give themselves a kind of, that kind of thing, So I don't know what you guys think of this, because they are telling her, hey, take this thing easy. Our son, he has realized his mistake. To err is human, to forgive is God, is divine. Why don't you just take it easy and allow this to slide, allow this to go? But she said, no, I'm not going to budge on this one. I'm not budging on this one. I'm not going to allow this to slide. This is the present situation, present condition of things right now. So she's not telling them no, neither is she telling them yes. She has kept them like in a loop. She prefers action, like she goes underneath, does her legal thing, and that will be the response to the Edochie. She doesn't want the situation whereby the Kinsmen and all those elderly people will now say, oh, you insulted us, we will deal with you. At times people set trap for you to fall into so that they can deal with you. You know what I mean? So what do you guys think of this one? What has been your experience so far as regards divorce in your own locality, location, country, where you are domiciled? What has been your experience so far? Drop it in the comment section. See you guys in the next update.